Welcome to Lumen Field in Seattle, Washington, as we get ready for OL Reign and Chicago Red Stars, the nightcap here on Friday night. Alongside Casey White, I'm Maura Sheridan. Glad to have you here with us on the international feed. Take a look at the starting lineups for both of these sides. This is a very big game for both Chicago and for OL Reign. They're just floating above the playoff line right now, both of these sides. We'll take a look at OL Reign and their starting 11 first.
A consistent back line for the OL Reign with Barnes, Hyatt, Cook, and Huerta across the back. Obviously a huge threat in Sofia Huerta, someone who can go forward. And then Nikki Stanton coming into the midfield, taking the place of Jess Fishlock, who's normally in that midfield space, pairing up with Olivia van der Yacht and Rose Lavelle. And then you've got three players up top, and those three that can score a lot of goals for this team.
Yep, Jess Fishlock is with Wales right now, and she just wrapped up some of the World Cup qualifier games, so she is still on an excused absence at the moment. For the Seattle side, we'll take a look at Chicago's starting 11. I think there's a big piece missing in Mallory Pugh, and the question mark is, how do they fill that void?
Although getting more experience, the back line is, a lot younger, but you've got Alyssa Nair behind that's really good at organizing them and making sure that they stay compact. You've got Ella Stevens that will look to continue to try to get something on the scoring board. When you don't have Mallory Pugh in, it can be a little bit tough. Samantha Fisher up there as well, and you've always got Yuki Nagasato who can create a lot of opportunities going forward.
Well, Pugh will start on the bench, so she is certainly available for Chicago. She is coming back from her time with the U.S. Women's National Team, played big minutes against Nigeria, and so, again, Chris Petrucelli said he's going to err on the side of caution with Pugh. He talked to her, discussed, the game plan of how they're going to, go forward in this match against OL Reign. Again, two sides that are very much in the Shield race at the moment, but they're also still just trying to float above that playoff line because you have a team like Angel City that is really desperate to get in the mix. So this is a big potential W for both teams as, again, Lumen Field, and we will see in blue, that is OL Reign. At home, they will start with the ball. In white on the road, that's the Chicago Red Stars. It's Rose Lavelle back from her time with the U.S. Women's National Team, which she scored in one of the two games against Nigeria. Referee today is Alan Chapman, two-time MLS Ref of the Year, as Megan Rapinoe gets things started for OL Reign. Rapinoe has been on a tear. That might be an understatement. She was Player of the Month in the NWSL in the month of August. 4 goals and 3 assists in the month of August alone. Just an unreal stretch for Megan Rapinoe.
And there are some nagging injuries early on in the season and just kind of getting back into form. But we all know what Megan Rapinoe can do, and now she's really starting to come together, feeling healthy, getting into her rhythm. And not only was she able to produce, but produce with flair, which is something she does so well with some great goals and great assists.
The last match for OL Reign was against Orlando Pride. It was on the road at Exploria Stadium. Seemed like that was going to end in a draw until Huerta put on a lovely service in, and it was finished by Megan Rapinoe in the 92nd minute. So in stoppage time at the end of the game, ended up in a win for OL Reign, and they really needed that win, and it was a very decisive one on the road. You see Nagasato getting the start for Chicago, just ever-present part of the starting lineup for the Red Stars, coming off a brace against Racing Louisville. That's the last game for Chicago. 4-0 the final, just a beatdown, and they also needed that because Chicago had lost 2 games in a row and been outscored 5-1, Angel City, and then a lopsided score to North Carolina. And so that was a bounce-back win, and a very emphatic one at that.
And what I love about her game is she can score, but she's just so important of playing in between the lines and the possession game that Chicago can play when they keep the ball. She's just so sophisticated when she's on it.
Well, here she is. Nagasato with that swipe takes it away from Nikki Stanton. And off the reset, Rachel Hill up the touchline, keeps it in. Blazing forward, runs into Lauren Barnes. Obviously, OL Reign defensively has been so strong, and that's because they have a lot of Cook. They have Lauren Barnes, they have Huerta, and they have Hyatt. And this is a team that has allowed the second least amount of goals in the NWSL. Only San Diego, numbers-wise, has a better defense than OL Reign.
And a lot of that not only comes from experience, but consistency of playing together. Your backline is a collective unit, and that becomes so important defensively.
Here comes Pino. over the head of Rose Lavelle. Trying to make Alyssa Nair work for it. Those two obviously teammates on the U.S. Women's National Team going head-to-head today.
And there's a lot of space in this wide area. The dribble penetration from Lou Barnes finding Megan Rapinoe. And with the three back, it becomes a space that's really important that Chicago keeps aware of. Otherwise, Megan Rapinoe is going to be running at you all day, just not able to get that one on target, but it's still dangerous. Also played wide, is now more central, so getting players like Rachel Hill and Samantha Fisher out there trying to replicate as many of those opportunities as possible, although Mallory Pugh's shoes certainly are hard to fill.
Nagasato pushed by Nikki Stanton. Again, had an earlier NWSL game. It was Portland-Orlando, and Portland got the best of the Pride. Final score in that one was 2-0. Couple more games tomorrow, a couple on Sunday, so it's pretty spread out this weekend across the league, but we're really getting back into the swing of things after that final international break, and then it's straight to the playoffs, into the championship, and all of that fun. Both of these teams, again, trying to make a run. Rachel Hill cuts it back behind. Colaprico has it swiped. Nice tackle by Nikki Stanton. Vanessa Dean Bernardo just crossed 150 games with Chicago. Has been a part of this roster since 2014. She did it in that Racing Louisville game. They even put up a nice little sign for her on the road. Here comes Rose Lavelle off to the races, full speed ahead. Huitema, it's out in front of her. Rapinoe curls back around. Huitema at 21 years old, top of the area. It's Rapinoe. Cross to Balcer, and that's where they want to go. Balcer through the air is absolutely lethal.
And she's a player that finds spaces in the box. The good goal scorers make movements at the last moment, and she is someone who's so good at this. Megan Rapinoe faced up is not something Chicago Red Stars want to see, because she can have this service. It's not timed perfectly or delivered perfectly there, but that's a lot of space that she's operating in.
Yeah, Balcer has 20 goals over the course of her NWSL career. 10 are off her head. Rapinoe skirts behind. Rose Lavelle now has some space. Leaves it for Balcer. Plenty of room. Off a cross, and it's saved. Bobbled by Nair. And then she reaches out to grab just in the nick of time, because Huitema was crashing in.
And another opportunity in that flank space area. Pino switching the point here. And it gets all the way across, and Lavelle just so well faced up to find Balcer. It's a good ball across and a strong hand from Alyssa Nair, but in the three-back, those wide wing-backs need to come back and help those three. Otherwise, that space is going to be on a lot during this game, and that's Jill Aguilera on that side just needing to come back and help a bit.
Colaprico turns it over. Von der Yacht, Olivia Von der Yacht getting the start for OL Reign. Again without Quinn for now. They are available on the bench if needed, as Rose Lavelle takes off again, tripped up, and a little bit awkward on the fall. Looks like Lavelle's going to be all right.
And she had that little bit of space to get the cross off, but went for a stop-start and almost faked herself out a little bit on that one. But you can see how dynamic she is already in this game. Could have played it early there, trying to get a little bit more space around Morse, but Morse does well just to keep her feet.
Alyssa Nair, 4 saves away from moving into second all-time, or tying Nicole Barnhart, who's still with Washington for that mark. But of course, probably the bigger thing for Nair is that she would love a shutout, coming off of one against Racing Louisville. It's going to be tough with so many players on this Reign roster that can score. Balser, Rapinoe, etc. Rose Lavelle has 3 goals this year. Nagasato, DiBernardo. Push to the wing here for Rachel Hill. Barnes, box out, clean. Hill keeps on going. Here's a cross, and it's floated a little bit wide. Intended for Aguilera. Huerta, long ball to Rapinoe. Kowalski, the rookie. A dangerous play. Balser serves it up for Megan Rapinoe. Kowalski again. This is a tough matchup. Here's a cross, nobody home. DiBernardo was there to chip it out. Still in the area though, as Huitema trying to make something happen. Jordan Huitema has still not scored in the regular season with OL Reign. She scored in the Women's Cup, in which actually OL Reign won against Racing Louisville. They ended up playing an NWSL team in the final. And Huitema finally got on the board, but they're still waiting for that first goal in a regular season match. It feels like it's coming soon.
And she's been scoring goals at the international level since she was 15 years old.
Right.
Definitely a player that can finish, but just working her way into getting more minutes and opportunities here.
For Rapinoe! Wide! Inches away from being the first strike.
And that's the first we've really seen of Huerta, because Chicago really trying to keep it away from the service of Sofia Huerta, and that's why it was perfectly put up there for Megan Rapinoe, and she can't believe it. I think she thought she had that on frame, but this change of point right here, Sofia Huerta gets played into the game. There's so much space, and you can see Megan Rapinoe asking for it. Looks like she's sneaking it in right at the back post, but just not quite able to get it on frame.
Well, the combo of Laura Harvey and Megan Rapinoe makes for 2 of the most animated players and coaches in the NWSL.
Match made in heaven.
Oh yes, Laura Harvey is, if we could just put a camera on her 24/7, I think it would make for great television. Rapinoe obviously has some great reactions. When she scored that game winner against Orlando, just had a great celebration, obviously deservedly so. Put a cap on, again, a fantastic month of August, but what's a month of August when you can have a better September and October? And that's really what they're trying to accomplish. As Huitema has it swiped by Zoe Morse, center back. There's Harvey. 83 wins now in her NWSL career. She's the winningest coach in league history. It is funny though when you talk to Harvey, she really doesn't care about that. She says it's great, but I want a championship trophy. That's what I want. Well, Chapman says it's rain ball. You know, Lauren Barnes, I mean, when you look at this Reign roster, you just see a lot of players that have a lot of experience. And Barnes, the most of any player ever, over 15,000 minutes in the NWSL. Actually, I think she's closing in on 16,000 at this point.
Yeah, and she's a player that just has so much experience, an absolute pro and veteran. And just to be able to have someone like that within your roster that's still performing at such a high level, you can't even put into words like how be able to have that kind of person that's really been able to lead from the back.
There's Huerta, Lavelle, Cook, Hyatt. Barnes off her left foot, off to Haitama. Rapinoe with the touch, goes into Morse. Morse sends it right back to Megan Rapinoe. This is dangerous territory. Rapinoe at the top of the box, and Morse is able to earn that back for Chicago.
And one of the things that Chris Petrucelli talked about was not really allowing Huerta to get on the ball very much because her service can just be so good and so dangerous. And they wanted it to go more to Rapinoe's side, which is like kind of crazy if you think about, but they wanted her back to goal. What's happening right now is Megan Rapinoe's getting on the turn, and it's very, very dangerous. And that's something Chris Petrucelli didn't want to have happen. So perhaps getting pressure a little bit higher up on Megan Rapinoe would help that situation. But when you look at OL Reign, like there's just so many good players everywhere. You kind of have to pick and choose where do you want them to attack you from.
Yeah, the lesser of two evils,
Exactly.
I believe, for Reign. And it does feel like OL Reign's starting to hit their stride as well. Struggled to score at the beginning of the year. I'll never forget an early season game in which they had 22 shots, and they did not win that game. As Nagasato, Aguilera in the area, the touch is too heavy. Again, Aguilera is not a typical part of this starting lineup for Chris Petrucelli's side. And so he's going with Stevens, Aguilera, and Nagasato. He's got Sam Fisher in there. I mean, Nagasato obviously a very experienced player at 35, but Fisher's a rookie. Aguilera has not a lot of experience. Stevens doesn't either. And Stevens has been switched for the majority of these games with Ava Cook at the 9. And today it is Stevens. Rose Lavelle, blazing forward, off to Balcer. Rapinoe's calling for it. Balcer takes a shot, swatted down by Alyssa Naeher. Well, that was a rocket. Why not?
And there's good pace from both of these teams looking to play in transition. A lot of it has come off Lavelle trying to penetrate space, then being able to spring in the wide area. And why not? Balcer just goes for it. Tess Naeher early on just to see if there might even be not only the first opportunity, perhaps a second chance. Doesn't come off the rebound, but they get it through the corner kick.
Well, Petrucelli has said before, Alyssa Naeher has saved us a lot this year. And that is a great stop by her there. Ever so slight, but it gets the job done as Megan Rapinoe off the corner kick, and it hits the top of the netting. She's come close to actually scoring that this year.
Naeher was calmer than I would have been in that moment.
Yeah.
It looked like she knew that one was going just over the top.
Again, split time with Casey Murphy on the U.S. Women's National Team. Alyssa Naeher did. Just holds. Only one team this season has come into Lumen Field and won. That was Houston, who's again fighting for the shield as Rapinoe creates. This pressure has been very solid for OL Reign. Haitama's up. Kowalski. Yuki.
OL Reign's pressing out of really a 4-2-4 shape, and that's something that is really difficult for Chicago just in the way they're set up. You can see Megan Rapinoe kind of sliding into that inside space to cut off passes, and when you only have 3 in the back, it can be a little bit harder to find spaces to build out.
Barnes. Off the toss to Rapinoe. Vonderjagt, swing to Huerta, picks up speed. Haitama has some space at the spot, takes a shot, hits Kowalski in the back, and the second chance is finished. Reign strike first. Harvey's pleased, and it's Haitama with that first NWSL goal.
She did extremely well in the box, just on the turn, but this is how it was able to be built up. A little bit of patience in the attack. Huerta going forward, finding a little space in there. It was a good first touch. Takes advantage, super opportunistic from Huitema, but that's what a goal scorer does. Tries to take it off the left foot. It hits off Kowalski, bounces right back to her, and she doesn't make a mistake about it on that second one. It's a great finish from the front runner.
Well, like I said, it had been a long time coming, and finally she gets that first score. Just 21 years old, definitely a player for the future, someone to build around on the Seattle side. And it's an early goal for OL Reign.
I think that's really important for OL Reign to get a young player, a player that's just come over recently to get that first goal. A lot of times that can just really take the pressure off a player that knows that she's brought in to score goals. When that first one happens, I wouldn't be surprised to see more coming either tonight or going forward.
Lavelle. So nifty with it. Bolster denied! And wide is Huitema on the second chance. Nair with the initial save. Huitema almost gets a brace in a matter of minutes.
It just looked like her feet weren't quite ready for that one. It was another deflection, but look at this from Lavelle. She is so dangerous off the dribble. You think she's gonna go herself, but she's doing that the whole time to set up Balser. You can just tell because you think, oh, it's shutting down. Why isn't she playing it? Why isn't she playing it? And she knows exactly what she's doing with that late pass.
Well, these two teams played in June. Reign was shut out in that loss. Final score is 1-0. It came down to a Mallory Pugh strike as this one way high into the crowd. And Pugh was able to score in the second half, and that was it in that game. This is a little bit different for Reign. Like I said, it seems like once Rapinoe got going here in August, this team got going, and everyone just started to buy in and sort of collaborate a little bit better.
And not only the production side of Megan Rapinoe, but she's an emotional leader as well, and seeing her passion and her enthusiasm, and she does that for her teammates, whether she's producing or not, but also on top of it, when she starts to produce, like, a lot of people continue to play with even that more passion. You can just see how that can affect the roster.
I thought it was interesting that Laura Harvey said this, that she thought it was good for this team to see Megan Rapinoe fail sometimes and have bad games and just kind of bring her down to a human level. And so everyone just got a little bit closer with some of the failures early and some of Rapinoe's struggles, and now things are clicking at the right time. Tullis Joyce watches that go wide, kind of a wonky pass back, and so it will end up being a corner for Chicago. We'll see if they can take advantage of a set piece. They have been fantastic on these all year. Chicago actually leads the NWSL in set piece goals. They're at 9. Oftentimes they will look for someone like Kowalski coming in on the back posts. Don't see her in there. Colaprico will take this. It's up. There's Kowalski. And Tullis Joyce had that red. She had to hurl her body over Nikki Stanton. Keeper for OL Reign. 6 shutouts for the Seattle side. Nagasato. Hill wide. Runs right into Barnes. Denied. Nagasato. Top of the box. Floats it towards the middle. Colaprico, DiBernardo. Hill, wide. Again, Barnes says no.
Just standing Hill up, that's really good defending from Lauren Barnes, just really veteran and just consistent, not diving in, because Hill does have some pace and could take advantage of that wide space area.
Colaprico off the cross. It makes its way to Tullis Joyce.
And really, we haven't seen a lot of DiBernardo or Colaprico on the ball, and that's something that Laura Harvey really wanted, because they are just so instrumental in pulling the strings in midfield for Chicago to spring the forwards So that's something that's really limited the attack going forward. But you can see there where Colaprico was able to get into that space behind the back line. And that's something Chris Petrucelli talked about he'd like to see more of, is the 10s being able to get in that space.
Rapinoe, Stanton. Up for Lavelle, offside. Teams have battled in pretty even matches. 10 Chicago wins, 9 Reign wins, 7 draws all time. As Huerta gets things going for Reign. Rapinoe back post, and it's too high from Balcer.
Again, it's this dribble penetration. We've seen Lavelle do it. Now Huerta's doing it. Then it springs Balcer in the outside space. There's just so much space for her out there, and it wasn't able to drop enough for Megan Rapinoe to get that one on frame, just running out of space there for it to fall down to her foot.
Lavelle. So fancy. Cross. Intended for Van der Yacht. Cleared. Cook. Rachel Hill tracks it down. Aitama back to play some defense. Nagasato. Colaprico up the middle. DiBernardo right into Van der Yacht. Lofted up for Rapinoe. Onside. Cuts it back on Kowalski. Didn't have numbers there. Rapinoe makes a move. Left-footed shot. Denied. Alyssa Naeher says no.
I mean, that save was absolutely incredible. You can see the deception from Megan Rapinoe going against Kowalski. Everyone thinks she's going to dictate play with her pass, but instead she goes for power. And not only does Naeher save the first one, but gets the second one out of the way, which could have easily been a tap-in goal there for Balcer.
That looked like it absolutely was going in. That was a strong, strong shot from Megan Rapinoe, and two of the best players in the world going head-to-head. This is fun so far. Very open game. Megan Rapinoe's right back at it on a set piece. Hyatt. Barnes off the reset. Again, Rapinoe curls it up. Broken by Tatum Milazzo. Huerta. There's another curl over the head of Rapinoe. They're so pretty to watch because they distribute so well. They make so many smart passes. Huerta, Haitama, and it's wide again. Later body on the line to Jordan Haitama, looking for the brace. Close again.
And she's just really good in that central forward position because she just has a nose for goal of how to find a little bit of space to be able to have an opportunity. And when you have service coming in like that from Sofia Huerta, there's some patience here in the attack. And you can see she's just looking for that half yard of separation to get a service. It's just so close to connecting. And you talked about just the way they possess, and they're so good at it, but what they're also good at is when Chicago clears the ball, they're in the right spaces to win it back right away. So when they do, they're able to keep it in a dangerous area.
Haitama runs into Morse, played every minute for Chicago this year. He's the only field player that can say that in this match. Tillis Joyce has played every minute as the keeper for OL Reign. Huerta. The Red Stars struggling to get offensive opportunities. Rapinoe. Cook, again, part of the U.S. Women's National Team. You'll probably hear me say that a lot today. DiBernardo, Tatum Milazzo. Hill. Nagasato. And coming off a game in which she scored 2 goals, hadn't scored this year. They've kind of been waiting to get her going, and she finally did. And her connection with Mallory Pugh was fantastic in that 4-0 win. Nagasato soars one into the stands. We'll see what Petroselli has in terms of any sort of changes that he makes if this score remains the same. There's still a lot of time to go in the first half. Kowalski. Lavelle beats her out. Rapinoe, top of the area, cuts it back, left-footed shot, and it's way off. Looks like that will take us to the hydration break here in the first half. So we've seen 1 goal. It's from Jordan Huitema, her first NWSL score. Puts her team up about half an hour in. If you're Chicago, now you have a chance to get some water and rethink how you're going to approach. What do you do here?
When you're out of possession, the back 3 are having to do a lot of work. I think they have to be a little bit more organized defensively, especially those wing backs, and coming back and helping in the wide spaces. There's so many 1v1 opportunities against Kowalski and Milazzo, and they need cover in that area. But they're down a goal, so looking how can they get more numbers forward is going to be really important, whether that's personnel changes coming up or if that's something of just committing more numbers into the game. They really haven't found Ella Stevens at all through the central area, but that says a lot about the back line, I think, more of OL Reign, just how organized they've been.
Yeah, again, that's something Petroselli said he wants more from his 9s this year, so I think that is what he's trying to do with Ava Cook coming off the bench and putting in Ella Stevens to start this game. But this game easily could be 2-0, maybe 3-0, if not for some of the saves that Alyssa Nair has made.
Oh, exactly. And you can tell it's also a focus for Laura Harvey. They've given up a lot of goals in the last 5 games. They've given up 7 goals, and she just said they've been conceding too easily. So not only are they going forward on the attack, but their countermeasures of when they lose the ball is just so organized. They're in a great position to win the ball back immediately, and that just fuels the attack more because it doesn't allow Chicago to play out as easily.
Well, Nair's made 2 saves. They've been huge ones, though. I mean, massive, massive stops. Point blank, really, with Megan Rapinoe, and she won that battle. I'm sure Chicago doesn't want her to be in that position too much, though. We'll see what Laura Harvey has planned as well. Team in a nice spot. This is not a extremely high-scoring OL Reign side. They've got 22 goals this year. That's 7th in the NWSL, so really just about the middle of the league. They do lead the league in shots, and so, like I said, they've started to put things together as of late, but prior to the most recent matches, they were just kind of inundating keepers with shots and not actually scoring. And it does, you wonder if this is true and they've really turned things around, what kind of run they could put together.
Well, we still have a lot of time in this first half, but you got to think if OL Reign goes in with only a 1-goal lead, they've missed some opportunities because they've had so much of the run of play, not only in possession, but it's possession to penetrate, possession that's dangerous. And so they would almost be, I think, happy that they're up 1-0, but it could be more and try to put the game away.
Tullis Joyce. Yeah, the last thing you want to do in this league and with all the craziness we've had is let someone hang around, especially when you know someone like Mallory Pugh is waiting in the wings to come in this game potentially. And like I said, they've also got Cook and Bianca St. George and some other potential goal scorers that Chicago could use. One thing about Chicago is they have been pretty spread out in terms of goal scoring. They've got Pugh with 8, but then they've got Stevens with 3, and they've got 5 other players with 2. Lavelle gets a touch. Tackle by Morse just in time. Rose Lavelle still has it, takes a shot. Nair denies, and then runs out and dives on it.
Talk about some happy feet right there from Rose Lavelle. You can just see how quick she is and how she can get into spaces off the dribble. Just so dangerous, and she's finding different spots. She's staying central, she's going out wide, and it's just taking everyone to defend her.
Rapinoe trying to get it through a couple of bodies, does not work. Huerta turned around, and again another reset here for the Seattle side. Huerta, Balcer, tripped by Aguilera. Free kick on the way. This is going to be Rapinoe. See Cook and Heintema setting up on this set piece. Stanton, Balcer as well. Barnes is up to complement, but it's Rapinoe ultimately. It's up. Cook takes a shot. Ooh, Lavelle was there. Very close again.
It almost was like the perfect pace to just die right in front of Alyssa Nair, but it does get through. But Rose Lavelle just looking for any opportunity to try to extend this lead with that run going right in front.
Milazzo.
And there's that defensive shape from OL Reign in that mid block. It makes it really hard to find players in the midfield, and that's something that's really important to them coming into this game, according to Laura Harvey, was not allow the holding mids to get on the ball.
Stanton lowers her shoulder and runs into Nagasato. Laura Harvey again. A whiff, but a foul as well. That's Fisher. Yeah, 11 shots for Reign, 5 on target. No shots on target for Chicago. Just taking 2 total. Reign's XG is actually essentially 2. So they technically should have another one right now. And like you said, kind of plays to your point of maybe leaving one on the table here in the first half. DiBernardo up, and again, Tullis Joyce is able to jump through the air and make the grab.
And the range of Tullis Joyce is something that is such a good quality that she has. She comes out on crosses very well. She's done that on corner kicks. So your service has to be just that much better. But really, it's the runs getting in front. You have to have some unselfish runs that just go in front of goalkeepers when that occurs.
Lavelle gets tangled up. Milazzo saves. Morse. Huerta. Back for Alana Cook. Again, a nice crowd at Lumen Field in Seattle, as per usual. Barnes. Touch from Morse. And Milazzo. Aguilera. Huerta. Balcer. Rapinoe. Beautiful feed. Huerta. The cross. Huitema off the post. Lots of valid reaction there from Huitema.
Absolutely. I mean, that was a gift right in front. I mean, it's beautiful build-up play. That should be the second goal, and that's two more opportunities from her after her first initial goal that really could have extended this lead.
Well, on the flip side, Chicago's living on the edge here. They've maybe been gifted the opportunity to get an equalizer against the run of play. Balcer trying to find Huitema again. Milazzo gets there first.
You're right. If you're Chicago Red Stars right now, you're thinking you're lucky stars. It's only 1-0 because it honestly has been so many good opportunities. And it's not just half chances. There's great opportunities coming forward from the OL Reign attack, and still being in this one is good for them.
Huerta for Rapinoe over her head.
This is that last build-up. Balcer, again, just getting so much in that wide space. Look at the overlapping run from Huerta, third player combination. It's so beautiful. It's a great save from Nair, but that really should be a goal right there from Huitema, just a completely open net, and was able to get around Kowalski.
Rapinoe wants to go quickly on this throw-in. Against Gotham, she threw it into Lavelle, and Lavelle turned and scored. Huerta! Easy enough for Alyssa Nair. She's made tougher stops today. Nagasato. Stevens is fouled. DiBernardo.
See there defensively how Rose Lavelle and Huitema are matched up with Colaprico and DiBernardo. That's really what's been hard for Chicago Red Stars. They can't really get them on the ball.
Huerta's tripped by Aguilera. Again, waning minutes of the first half. By the way, I just mentioned the XG. It's jumped to 2.6 since that hit off the woodwork for Huitema. She probably should have a brace. Hyatt. DiBernardo. Nagasato dumps it behind. The wing from Hill, right to Tolis Joyce. Aguilera. Milazzo, Balcer right behind her. Huitema all over the pitch, maybe a little chip on her shoulder now. Loses it, DiBernardo through the middle. Nagasato. Hill. Spinning around. Still up. Hyatt can't clear. Hill just tries to barrel through. Fisher is down right at the edge of that 6. Ultimately, it's going to be against Chicago, and it will be rain ball.
It was just a little too long. Fisher was trying to get up, and you can see Chicago Red Stars are finding the isolation in the wide area. It is a 1v1 situation wide, and there's no cover, but honestly, just the 1v1 defending of the OL Reign outside backs has been really consistent, and they haven't been able to take advantage of it.
Tullis Joyce trying to get something going as Rapinoe loses again. Nagasato. Stevens has some room to work. Defense swarms. Push back to Colaprico. Nagasato runs into trouble. Alpaitama. Too much. Kowalski, quick throw in. It's been better for Chicago the last minute or so. DiBernardo from Nagasato.
And you can see that's the space they're trying to find is DiBernardo there, and was able to get it past, but just an errant pass. But that is where Chicago really needs to try to beat the pressure of Rapinoe and Balser in those outside spaces.
Rapinoe off the toss to Haitama. Curls that one to Listenaire. Morse. Nice leading pass to Rachel Hill. Here she comes in the area. Hill takes a shot and it slips by, hits the post. Hill, second chance, no shot. Hyatt in front of that. Stevens, chaos. Stevens scores the equalizer from Chicago.
Wow, and if you're Chicago Red Stars, you are happy right now going into the extra time. A ball in behind the back line, they really haven't had a chance to expose that space, but this is really good by Rachel Hill, and then Ella Stevens just keeping it alive. It's a mad scramble in this area, and look at Stevens coming back to help. She gets that bounce, it goes right to her, but that's a great finish, and Chicago takes advantage of the opportunity they're given.
Yep, just hits the bottom corner there. Does Ella Stevens. That's 4 goals for her. Petroselli with a slight smile there on the sidelines.
He knows. He knows the way this first half has gone, but this is the game, and it's not about how many chances you create, but what are you able to capitalize on, and Chicago Red Stars made the most of it.
And that was a little chaotic, a little crazy, but it works for Chicago, and we're right back to the drawing board here in stoppage time. That was into stoppage time. So we just got 2 minutes as Rapinoe trying to take back the lead here for Reign. Don't count them out. Lavelle has her cross intercepted by DiBernardo. Rapinoe runs into Hill. Again, was the one to really create that opportunity. Lavelle, beauty of a touch, runs through Hill. And that will do it for the first half of action. It was all OL Reign. They get off 13 shots. They take the lead thanks to Haitama, and then all of a sudden, against a run of play, Chicago is able to get right back in it. It's Ella Stevens who strikes, and we sit at 1-1 at the halftime break.
The Red Stars are a team that like to connect passes, but they get it on a long service, exposing the space behind the back line, and we're all tied up after a half where the OL Reign really dominated.
Well, we'll see what Rapinoe and company have cooking as we take a break. We'll come back for the start of the second half at Lumen Field. Do not go anywhere after this.
Je to tady.
Asi nás čeká něco fakticky velkýho.
Oslavte Disney Plus Day.
I would go for this.
Přidejte se k nám jen za 49 korun.
Now I'm really gonna have some fun.
Sledujte exkluzivní premiéry a mnohem víc. Po omezenou dobu je předplatné jen 49 korun za první měsíc.
I want to be the kind of person that can take that leap.
Disney Plus Day nabídka je tu. Je to tady.
Asi nás čeká něco fakticky velkýho.
Oslavte Disney Plus Day.
I would go for this.
Přidejte se k nám jen za 49 korun.
Now I'm really gonna have some fun.
Sledujte exkluzivní premiéry a mnohem víc. Po omezenou dobu je předplatné jen 49 korun za první měsíc.
I want to be the kind of person that can take that leap.
Disney Plus Day nabídka je tu.
Welcome back to Lumen Field. We played 45 minutes and the score is 1-1. Reign and Chicago at a stalemate at the moment. It's been very interesting, or was an interesting first half, because Reign dominated, and I think the stats will show you just that. It was, and it should be, a much larger OL Reign lead than it actually is, but Chicago survives. We'll take a look at the first half stats here in this one, and you see the staunch difference.
And you can, and a lot of the possession went towards Chicago, 57% to 42, but it was because it was in their own defensive half. But the OL Reign used their possession to generate opportunity. 13 shots is a lot in one half, and 6 of those going on frame. But Chicago hung in there, generated 4 shots, 1 of those on goal. Even in corner kicks, 2-2, and pretty even in fouls with 3 to OL Reign and 4 to Chicago. But you're right, OL Reign just did so much with their possession that it really felt like they should have been up a lot of goals, but Chicago figured it out.
Well, Casey Whitemore, Sheridan, as we get ready for this second half, and I think there's some question marks about how both teams will move forward, but mostly from the Chicago side, because again, they definitely did survive a little bit in that first half, so we'll see what they do in the second, if there's anything that they change, or if they come out maybe a little bit stronger. Easier said than done. Obviously, Reign has so much talent. If you're just tuning in, you've got Chicago in white and in blue, that is OL Reign. Alyssa Nair had to make a handful of fantastic stops for Chicago. And I guess her total went up to 5 saves. So Alyssa Nair, 5 saves. That officially means she passes Barnhart as she moves into second place in the NWSL record book in terms of saves made across her career, and obviously she's not done yet. So Barnhart was at 468, and Alyssa Nair's at 469, and potentially counting, although again, Chicago would love to help her out and not force her to make some of those fantastic stops again. We've seen the 2-9 score. We saw Huitema score, Ella Stevens score, and that's where we sit. Ella Stevens with a beautiful strike was able to tuck it in the corner. Huitema is her first goal in her NWSL career, first of many, I'm sure. And for Stevens, it's 4 on the year.
And both of the goals from the Nines coming off second and third chance opportunities. Huitema is getting it off her first opportunity off the left foot, the second one going in off the right foot. And Ella Stevens, it might even been a fourth opportunity. Rachel Hill getting the shot, and it was really just made from industriousness and just being opportunistic in the penalty area. But that is a huge goal, especially not only for this game, but what that means as both of these teams try to solidify a spot in the playoffs.
Yeah, again, they can survive off a draw, both of these sides, in a way that some other teams in the league cannot, but they really would like to pick up 3 points. Here's Pugh, she's in, and the cross is gonna lead to a corner. So Mallory Pugh has entered this game for Chicago, and she makes herself known pretty much right away. We figured it was only a matter of time. And she doesn't have the, her signature hairstyle, so it's kind of throwing me off here. Here's Pugh. Short on that one, Nagasato is able to head it up. DiBernardo. Pugh stretches out. Cross, Tullis Joyce dives. How did she bring that in?
And that's the space again, Tullis Joyce, we talked about in the first half, her range, and she's very comfortable coming off her line, which is a huge benefit to OL Reign, but there's got to be someone committed to getting in front of her. And a lot of times you're not going to win the ball, but you're going to distract her and not give her that straight line to come in and make the save. But Tullis Joyce does extremely well here, and it takes a little bit of a second chance opportunity to kind of bring that in, but she does a good job with it.
Well, already Pugh looking for that connection with Yuki Nagasato. Again, did it so well the last time these two players were on the pitch together. Rapinoe breaking ankles. Hill clears. Kowalski denied on that one. Lavelle. Balser. Cross from Huerta. And Alyssa Nair bats it down yet again. Well, Mallory Pugh comes in for Samantha Fisher. That is the change for Chicago. Again, Pugh has 8 goals this year for the Red Stars. 2 the last time they played against Racing Louisville.
And the Red Stars were able to generate some 1v1 opportunities in the wide spaces. And perhaps that's something that Mallory Pugh, we know, can take advantage of. Didn't have that in the first half of really being able to get behind the outside backs, but something she can bring in this second half.
Balser. Lavelle. Top of the box. Pushes it out to Huerta. And for Huitema. And again, read well by Alyssa Nair. Off the punt, up for Stevens. Cook. Corrals. Tullis Joyce. right into Cook. Here's a chance for Pugh, and they don't punish.
Well, there was just a little bit of hesitation there, and also Sam Hyatt coming back. A lot of times when you're going back to strike the ball when a player's behind you, it can just throw you off just a little bit, even if there's no contact. And you can see that here. Stevens just continues to press, which is a good decision. A fortunate bounce if you're a Chicago fan at coming to Mallory Pugh, but she just didn't have enough space to really connect with that.
Rapinoe, that one bounces over her head. Kowalski shading defensively. A sigh of relief. You could hear it at Lumen Field after that one, and Pugh goes a little bit high, and it's rare that this Reign team, I talked about how strong they are defensively, would make an error, but that was nearly one. Rapinoe off a corner. It's up. Lavelle runs right into DiBernardo. Aguilera sends it out of trouble. Does look like Jimena Lopez has come in for Reign. They have made that change, swapped out with Lauren Barnes. So those are the two subs. Huerta curls that all the way over to Megan Rapinoe. Offside.
We're talking a little bit about that mistake in the back. We haven't seen that typical press from Chicago Red Stars that they like to employ, but a lot of that has to do with the Reign. Haven't really had to build out of the back very much. They've really been able to organize themselves to win the ball higher up, and so that hasn't been something that Chicago's really been able to do. And you can see where Stevens did that. It did create a problem there when they were playing it out through Tullis Joyce.
Rapinoe in the mix again. And that one's too light. DiBernardo the other way here for the Red Stars. Stevens, Pugh. Again, the last time these two teams played, it was the very beginning of June. Of course, it was at SeatGeek in Chicago. And Mallory Pugh was able to strike for the game winner. One thing about Pugh too is that she's tied for the league lead in assists as well, and I think obviously you talk about how prolific she is as a goal scorer, but the way she's been able to kind of balance out her game as a distributor as well has been so impressive. Huerta taken away. Here's Pugh, runs into her heel. Colaprico up the middle. Swing to Hill. Stanton goes down. Here's Aguilera with a chance. Cuts it back to Nagasato, and they don't connect.
And I think you can already see the difference that Mallory Pugh makes, not necessarily just on the ball. You talked about the goal scoring, the distribution, but when she's on the field, Chicago Red Stars just looks more comfortable. It's just people start to bring up their game to another level. You can just see that. It's the only change for them, and they're already getting a little bit higher up the field. Would love to see Aguilera take a touch and take a shot on that last opportunity. Just a lot of space there, but already they're doing a little bit more to be higher up the field, and that's not due to the OL Reign not doing well. They're still generating opportunities as well.
Well, so you see Rapinoe, and might need some of that extra magic from Megan Rapinoe here. As Chicago has definitely come out looking, like you said, a little more comfortable in the second half, thanks to Mallory Pugh, and maybe the confidence that that goal at the very end of the first half gave them. Now here comes a free kick from Pugh and company. And this is where they can be extra dangerous. I mean, I talked about set piece goals. A lot have come off of corners, but even more off free kicks. And obviously the two goals that they had against Racing Louisville were free kicks from Mallory Pugh to Yuki Nagasato. So watch for that here as Nagasato breaks loose, and she can't quite get it there. Colaprico, second chance, and that hit right into Ella Stevens. Looks like it got her arm. Lana Cook having some words with Chapman, the referee today. Balser splits the defense. Bethany Balser in the area. Turns. Lavelle. Huerta. Broken up. Huerta. Cut off again. This time by Tatum Milazzo. Aguilera off to the corner. Lavelle. Huerta. Balser, the header. Stanton keeps it here for OL Reign. They'll reset. Rapinoe. Service in, floats up, and Mayer's able to grab.
And it's better shaped by the back line. You could see the back line of 5 just compacting on top of the penalty area for the Chicago Red Stars. And it makes it harder there where they have to find the outside space, the OL Reign. And a lot of times because OL Reign slowed it down, that was what allowed them to get back in that defensive shape.
Nagasato. Pugh. Stevens. DiBernardo and Colaprico. Chicago trying to get 2 in a row. DiBernardo runs into Lavelle. And now Rapinoe. Push forward, a little too far.
And the defensive block of the OL Reign was a little lower on that one, but when they have those 4 lined up, you can see how dangerous it can be in the counterattack. The pass doesn't go right to where Rapinoe wants it to, but there's 4 players immediately running at the line.
Looking for Aguilera. It's Huerta who gets in front. Tullis Joyce, it's been a little shaky today. Pugh turns around. Picks up speed. Pugh trying to tuck it in the corner with her left foot. No. Again, 1-1 the score. These two teams need a win to move up the standings, yes, but also just kind of secure their spot in the playoffs because Angel City is closing in. That's certainly an option in terms of somebody that could disrupt a little bit. And Angel City plays Kansas City on Sunday. And so that's going to be a huge matchup. Cook. Tullis Joyce. This will lead to a free kick. Chicago gets an opportunity right at the edge of the box.
And a lot of that's coming from the pressure from Chicago Tullis Joyce is a little bit shaky out of the back, and they're generating a lot of opportunities by making her have to play out and play direct.
From Pugh. Doesn't have enough height on that again. Let's bring back the possession for the Red Stars.
And that's 2 opportunities off set pieces that the service from Pugh just hasn't been there. It's really been cut short, and that's something that Chicago in this game is really going to have to try to take advantage of. OL Reign, although not having possession higher up, still looks really dangerous going forward.
Milazzo. Colaprico. Kowalski tries a long ball right to Huerta. Well, got half an hour to go. Pugh trying to make some noise, causes a turnover to Tatum Milazzo. Back at Lumen Field as Megan Rapinoe walks off the pitch after being tended to by the training staff. Again, we apologize for some of the technical difficulties here, but we return. You see Rapinoe going down off the ball. does appear to be all right and ready to check back into this match for Rain. Again, 1-1 is the score. Olo Rain and Chicago Red Stars Casey White and Morris Sheridan. There's Megan Rapinoe, August Player of the Month. They're going to need her. Things have slowed a little bit for Olo Rain, who is just on the attack constantly in the first half. And Chicago has responded very well here in the second. The question is, can Rain get that back, some of that energy?
And so much of that attack came from Lauren Barnes and Megan Rapinoe and their ability to create overloads in the wide space. And sometimes when partnerships change, it can just change the dynamic of things, on top of Chicago getting that late equalizer, which really has been a catalyst for them getting back into the game.
DiBernardo for Hill. Tries a cross and denied. That's Lopez, who came in for Lauren Barnes. Will be a corner kick for Mallory Pugh and company as Yuki Nagasato stands in front. Two defenders, see Stevens and Hill. Colaprico, top of the box, thought about it. Turns around, Hyatt is all over her, pushing her back. Ricochets off a couple of bodies. Wide to DiBernardo. Chicago ball, a little switcheroo. Here's a chance. Aguilera, Pugh, no shot. Boy, that slipped through everybody. Having trouble clearing, Rain. A shot, blocked away. I think that hit Pugh from DiBernardo. Deflections everywhere because this time Hill gets in front of one and she earns it back for the Red Stars. Now DiBernardo on the attack for Chicago. Nagasato takes a shot, and is that a handball? Yes. It goes into Sam Hyatt's hand, and we'll get a PK for the Red Stars.
And you could kind of feel this coming, like it really has swayed in the Red Stars' direction. It's almost like OL Reign just can't figure out how to play out of the back and go forward, and those wide spaces are now belonging to the Red Stars, and Nagasato really clever here, just lifts it and hits the hand. You can see it knocked back, but her hands were by her side, and that's always a really tough call when it wasn't a natural position.
Well, it's going to be Danielle Colaprico to take the penalty for the Red Stars. This will be her first one this year as Tolis Joyce gets prepared in net. Red Stars have a chance to take the lead on the road at Lumen Field. From Colaprico, yes! Chicago's up. That's her first goal this year. Danielle Colaprico with an absolutely crucial finish.
And just so calm when she steps up to that. Sends Tolis Joyce the opposite direction. Looks like she's going to open up, then comes across her body with a great strike. And the Red Stars have just been so good in critical moments. The end of the first half, just willing it into the back of the net and then taking an opportunity given to them. They haven't had enough of those in this game, but they've made the most of the two they have had.
Well, the tables have turned as Aguilera will take a seat on the bench. Bianca St. George will enter the game, and now the Red Stars have control of this match, which if you saw the first half stats, you would not believe me. Looks like Ava Cook has also entered the game as well for Chicago, and so they've added some scoring threats as Lavelle cuts it back, denied. Ever so close there from Morse. Looks like Haitama is down for Rain as well, slow to get up. And Chapman will blow the whistle. Megan Rapinoe goes to check on Jordan Haitama. Again, St. George coming in for Aguilera. Saitama trying to walk it off.
And now Megan Rapinoe's back on that left side for a big portion of this second half. She had come to the right side, and Chicago Red Stars, part of their game plan, according to Chris Petrucelli, was to deny Huerta the ball, and they've done that a decent amount in this game, but Megan Rapinoe was picking apart the other side. When she came to this opposite side, it just seemed like they weren't able to generate that attack that they had been seeing so much in the first half.
Well, they're going to need it now. Again, a handball. It goes into Sam Hyatt's hand, obviously in the box, leads to a PK. Colaprico finishes, and that's where we sit. Chicago with 2 unanswered as Kowalski not too far ahead of Colaprico, excuse me, St. George on the far side. Bianca St. George has 2 goals this year, played in Australia a couple of days ago with Canada, and then flies back and joins the Red Stars to get some minutes here. It's back with Chicago. As you see Sue Bird in attendance, of course, just a monumental moment for Sue Bird, ending her career in Seattle. And of course, here to support the Reign and Megan Rapinoe. It's funny, we talked to Laura Harvey about this week in women's sports, and she said it was, you know, one of the bigger weeks she could remember in women's sports because Sue Bird retired, Serena Williams had her farewell, and then of course the CBA was signed by the U.S. women's national team to get equal pay. And it's been such a long time coming, and just to see really women's sports dominating the media coverage here in America and across the world, it's a really big deal, and I think Harvey was just kind of reflecting on that. It's nice to see Bird. I'm sure she would like to be on the basketball court, but
yes,
nice to see Bird in the stands supporting Rapinoe, and see if Rapinoe and company can back her up here.
It's so nice to see that in the media as well, just to see all those icons and then an iconic moment with the CBA.
Pew! She's going to be an icon, I think, of the U.S. women's national team. Tullis Joyce got in front of that one, and Cook was looking to bat it out, I think. Ava Cook. St. George looking on that through for Pugh. Not on the same page necessarily, but Chicago's possession time has just climbed up and up over the course of this match.
And it's been possession higher up the field too. They had a lot of the possession in the first half, but it was in their own half and it wasn't really generating anything going forward. Now it's been more effective as it's been higher up the field.
Haitama, Huerta, Balser. From Huerta to Rapinoe, stretching out, she misses.
And these are just such interesting moments as you get towards the latter half of the game, because the Chicago Red Stars, why they have disallowed OL Reign to go forward is because they've been on the attack themselves. So do you continue with that, or do you kind of go into that back 5? You can bring your wing backs in and try to secure the 3 points. It might be still a little too early to allow the Reign to just keep coming at you, but it's something that they're going to have to consider as they go throughout this game of how they want to see it out.
Hill. Got it. Mallory Pugh in the area. Nagasato. Too heavy on that one. Couldn't get a clean finish. I mean, if you're Reign, you got 15-ish minutes left in this one. How do you respond? Because again, they dominated the first half. They know they can create offensive opportunities against the Chicago back line.
The biggest part was the outside backs going forward and then Rose Lavelle running at the back line. I think Jimena Lopez has got to get higher up the field and create a 2v1 with Megan Rapinoe. Huerta continuing to go forward. I mean, there's nothing to lose at this point. But ultimately, they have to be able to finish in critical moments. And they're a team that can do it. They've scored a lot of late chance goals as well. So it's going to be an interesting last 15 minutes because you know there's going to be at least one good, clear opportunity to try to equalize.
Huerta. Can't beat Hill. Lavelle helps out though. In the area. Blocked. Cook. The service from Cook. Up. Rapinoe lunges forward. We got a penalty. Well, a PK to match for OL Reign. Are they going to call this back?
It looks like there's an offside call is what it looks like, hand in the air. So it looked like he went to initially call the penalty kick, but is looking towards the assistant referee and putting his hand up. So, man, that's incredibly close to being a big moment. It could go a big moment in the other direction. And it doesn't look like it. Zoe Morse was in there, and Rapinoe was actually coming from behind Huitema. Unless they say Huitema was the one and that she's affecting the play there, but honestly, I don't know about that.
Seems like a massive call to make. And again, we'll take another look at this. Let's see.
No, and neither one of them are offside. That should have stood. If you want to talk about the penalty kick call, I mean, there was a little bit of a nudge there, and Rapinoe sold it for sure. She had the position, so there was an argument definitely for a penalty, but I think that is a big moment and a missed call right there.
All right, so it's not a penalty, it's offside, and we're in a hydration break. And if you're Reign, you're frustrated, but you can't really linger too much on this call because you're still trying to win this one, or at least play to a draw at home. Again, they've only lost one time this year at Lumen Field. This has been just a sacred place for them this season. And so a must-draw situation, we'll put it, for OL Reign.
100%, and I think the more concerning part is they haven't created quite as many opportunities, but OL Reign's just one of those teams that anybody can score at any given time, so you've got to assume that there's going to be a lot of opportunities coming, but can Chicago try to capitalize on that and maybe get a counterattack in the opposite direction and perhaps get another goal? Not that they need it. They're already up the one, but it could certainly take some pressure off.
Well, the Reign Loyals have been with this team all match. Again, right now the difference is a penalty kick from Colaprico on the other end for Chicago. Seemed like Megan Rapinoe was going to have a chance at one. She most certainly would have been the one to take it. She's made 11 over the course of her career. Would have been 12, would have been a NWSL record if she had hit it. But alas, that did not happen, and we are living in the future. Hyatt. Rapinoe. Again, hits off her heel. DiBernardo, Huitema, trying to earn it back here for OL Reign. Foul. The Reign fans are frustrated.
We'll take a look at the last calls, both Lauren Barnes and Laura Harvey speaking to the fourth official. Not sure exactly what was going on there, but
she was showing them the replay is what was happening. I guess they, obviously have the ability to watch those games and just showing the referees. Kowalski, DiBernardo. Morse controls. Little slice to Alyssa Nair, who was a hero in the first half. Shifty is Mallory Pugh on the ball. Feed to Hill, get some separation. Off to Pugh again. Speeding forward, she's got Cook in the box. And again, you see, much like Sophia Smith from earlier today, so many jerseys around her, Mallory Pugh, so many blue jerseys around her.
And she just garners so much attention and opens up spaces for other players when she is on the field, because you have to respect her ability to be able to go forward individually. Not only that, but creating for other people. So it just allows those spaces to open up more, and it's really helped the Red Stars here in this second half.
Lavelle takes off Heitema, Balter both trending towards the area. Lavelle takes a shot herself! What a strike from Rose Lavelle! The equalizer!
You can hear the crowd on that one, and Lavelle has been so dangerous off the dribble in front of the back line. It's 2 yards of space. You can't give that to Rose Lavelle that close, and it's a beautiful strike, yes, but she's a player. When she's on her left foot, you don't want to give her any space, but she has been so critical to the OL Reign, and look at that passion. You gotta love the fire from Laura Harvey. How do you not want to play for a coach like that when you see that on the sideline?
Fantastic stuff. A monster shot for Rose Lavelle, her 4th goal of the season, and it brings us level here. And now there's time. It's anyone's game. If they want it, 3 points up for grabs. Chicago and OL Reign at Lumen Field.
And you mentioned this earlier, a draw keeps both of these teams in it, but what are they going to do these last 10 minutes? Which of these teams is going to try to go for it, or are they going to have a little bit of a chess match? I have a feeling that people are going to push to try to get this 3 points, whether you're on the OL Reign side or the Chicago Red Stars.
Huerta, Heitema. Across to Alyssa Nair. I think also as a coach, it kind of sends a message to your team probably. Like, hey, we want to win.
It does. And it's a little bit hard when you're the team that's on the road.
Right.
A positive result is a draw on the road. I mean, you want to get 3 points, but both of these teams have put themselves in pretty good positions that it's not necessarily desperation to get 3 points, but it would be nice. But I think if you're OL Reign, you go for it here. You're at home.
Lavelle might go for it here. Looking for Heitema, doesn't get through. St. George in the nick of time. Huerta. Intercepted. Milazzo comes up. Cook, it's behind Hill, stumbles back. Pugh loses it. Lavelle to Rapinoe. St. George again. St. George past Lavelle. Off Lopez now. Red Stars will backtrack. Again, Reign took the lead early thanks to Jordan Heitema. Then spread out between 2 halves. 2 goals for Chicago, including a penalty kick from Colaprico. And then we just saw a monster goal from Rose Lavelle. And that's where we sit to bring us level here in Seattle. Minutes left in this match.
And this throw in deep in the defensive third for the Reign allows Chicago to try to press a little bit higher. You can see 4 of their players just in that space trying to keep it higher up the field. Something that they've really been known to do is really lock teams in that end. But look at that touch from Rapinoe to get out.
And now they've got some room to work. It's Huerta off the buildup. Ahead to Balcer. Everybody tracking towards the area into Kowalski's body. Huerta. Van der Yacht. Huerta centers Van der Yacht. Cook trips. Took out Ava Cook in the process. Alana and Ava, to be clear. Looks like we will have a late sub for Reign. It's McClernand who comes in, takes out, it's Phoebe McClernand, takes out Nikki Stanton, who again had started this game because Jess Fishlock is not available. Haitama will also come out, and Veronica Latsko will come in. Ava Cook. St. George. Lopez with the tackle. Corner on the way for the Red Stars, though.
That's a good run. There's an isolation in that flank area with no cover, and that's something that's happened a lot with the Reign. So smart to take on in that area just to generate some kind of set piece opportunity going forward.
Kowalski has scored 2 off of these set pieces. There's a chance from Cook, and it went right into the body of McClernand. So it does look like Morgan Gatra has entered the game, taking out Yuki Nagasato for the Red Stars. Gatra was just working her way back from injury this year and finally seems healthy enough to kind of come in off the bench for the Red Stars. Seems like maybe filling a bit of the Alyssa Mox role, who retired not too long ago during the course of this regular season.
And she got ahead on that last opportunity. It seems like Mallory Pugh's set pieces are a little bit short, both with the corner kicks and the set pieces, but Gatra helping that one on, and she's definitely a player that can help in midfield and possession.
Balcer, a little slow on that one. Earns it back, Rapinoe. Latsko. Milazzo off the takeaway. It's Chicago ball.
And ever since McClernand came in, Huerta's actually gone into the midfield, so trying to get her higher up the field. And you can see OL Reign trying to press really high. When they do, they have so many numbers running at goal.
Pyatt shuffles. Latsko looks to throw it in. Ends up being McClernand. Nothing much. St. George, the push for the Red Stars. Lofted up for Balcer. And Morse has to send it into the crowd. Rapinoe calling for it quickly to Balcer. Huerta. McClernand. Service in, and it's past everybody's head. Lavelle was there, Rapinoe was there, Balcer was trending in.
It was good runs by both of those players, actually all three, but they're all in a straight line. So either the service has to be perfect or there's got to be a little bit more layers in the way those runs are happening in the box. But you can definitely tell the OL Reign does not want to settle on this tie. They want to go for 3 points. And I would do the same with being at home, having this crowd behind you, and having the most recent goal.
Reign do have North Carolina and Houston coming up too, as Rapinoe rips a shot, and it's wide. So close for Megan Rapinoe. Offside anyway. Worth a try. We'll get 5 minutes of stoppage time. That's a decent amount for somebody to again pick up 3 points here. Like I said, 4 games left for Reign, so there's not much time. There's 4 games left for Chicago, and this is as much of a playoff test as many matches that you're gonna face or any games you're gonna play at the end of the year. So I think this is important too for setting the tone for the rest of the season. As bodies flying around, Mallory Pugh comes up with it. Chicago behind Pugh, here she comes. Hill so close, and Hill is down.
Clutching her ankle, it looked like a little bit there. That was really close from the Chicago Red Stars, and neither of these teams quitting, but it's just such a dynamic run. It starts right there with a tackle from Cook. DiBernardo finding Pugh quickly, and that run inside really allows this isolation against Jimena Lopez, draws Cook across. So it's a really good opportunity from the Chicago Red Stars.
Here comes a corner. Pugh, it's up, low. Rapinoe, Rose Lavelle. Again, in stoppage time here in the second half. Turnover. Balcer with the shove, and the aftermath as well. As we see the trunk get tangled up there in the process. Balcer. Colaprico. It's Hill. Physical with Lopez. Back to Hill again. Vonderjagt beats her to it. A throw in for St. George in Chicago. Cook. St. George. Pugh. Skirting through. Again, defense is very aware of Mallory Pugh.
And that's really hard to defend in that area. McClernand has to be really patient. The tendency is to want to tackle and do everything you can to stop an opportunity, but they have the advantage being in the penalty area when they're able to collect it in there. So it's really good patience defensively.
Tolis Joyce will take this goal kick. Seattle side looking to make their home fans very happy. Would be a comeback victory for Seattle, or for the Reign. Rapinoe. A little awkward there. Limping around on that far side is Megan Rapinoe. McClernand runs right into Kowalski. Play on. There's a service! Off the crossbar! Rapinoe! Denied by Alyssa Naeher!
What's so incredibly impressive about this from Alyssa Nair is her ability to come across, going for the save that's off the crossbar, but then able to come across, reset, and then react. I mean, that is such good goalkeeping from Alyssa Nair, and it's a great opportunity from the Reign as well.
Well, that's the second time that they've hit the woodwork today. Obviously, the Haitama chance in the first half is one that Reign will wish they had back, I think. She's got under a minute to go here. Lavelle. Huerta in the middle, everyone racing back for Chicago. Rapinoe. Cross, no, Milazzo boots it out. Lopez, Rapinoe again. Huerta. Rapinoe slides, Lavelle! Alyssa Nair again, right spot.
It's a great opportunity. Megan Rapinoe with Huerta able to find Lavelle, but Nair has just come up so big.
Alyssa Nair with two fantastic stops to end this match. And boy, you can just see everybody deflating after this. A hard-fought battle. I think it's fair that it ends in a draw. 2-2, the final score. This is a really fun, I think, look ahead at what the playoffs can look like in the NWSL.
And the OL Reign had so many opportunities, but there was just too big of a portion of that second half where the Chicago Red Stars were able to go forward, and to get a point on the road against a team like the OL Reign is big for them.
Again, the final 2-2, OL Reign and Chicago played to a draw. A fantastic game. We saw Rose Lavelle with a fantastic goal, a PK from Colaprico. Alyssa Nair stands on her head, and Lumen Field does not get a win, but an exciting match nonetheless here in the NWSL. That will close it out from us here on Friday night. Again, from Casey White, I'm Maura Sheridan saying so long from Seattle. Have a great night, everyone.